And here we arrive at the final episode of Season 6 before the lengthy hiatus, which surprisingly is the second episode this year focusing on Rarity and Pinkie Pie. I for one don't mind another entry with this duo, given that we've already had episodes focusing on each member of the main six and Spike in turn. Plus, the interactions between these two were quite entertaining during the Gift of Maud Pie, so why not have another outing with them? And given the conflict of this story, I'd say Rarity and Pinkie Pie were indeed the best suited to find a solution. The story begins with a trip to Canterlot, where it seems most every restaurant is serving the exact same cuisine while sporting the exact same atmosphere. That is, except for one, which despite its decor sticking out from all the other establishments, no one seems interested in seeing what it has to offer. We're introduced to a couple of new characters by the name of Saffron and Coriander. And I must say, for what this episode is trying to teach, the setup works very well. This is one of the more unique presentations for an episode, especially with a new song that really stands out from any other entry in the entire series. Much like the cuisine of the restaurant itself, it adds a new flavor of instrumentation to complement the harmonies of Rarity and Pinkie Pie. And it's something I wouldn't mind seeing more of in the future. Saffron and Coriander made for a nice father-daughter dynamic that helped to drive the conflict, and it's easy to see why Rarity would think one path would save the restaurant while Pinkie would believe an entirely different path. But much like the last time we see Pinkie following a destination on the cutie map, she had the right idea to begin with, but didn't know how to execute it just at first. And all the while, her companion would follow after something that seems like the right choice at first, but turns out to be the wrong direction later on. In both cases, it makes Pinkie look more the teacher while Rainbow Dash or Rarity are the ones doing the learning. I don't mind that it's turned out this way here, but I hope Pinkie will switch up roles the next time around. And then we have the food critic Zesty Gourmand, which even before she showed up, I was already getting an Anton Ego vibe from Ratatouille. And much of her appearance and mannerisms do seem to match with that character. However, there is no moment later on when she shows a change of perspective, like there was with Anton, which really makes her far less memorable overall. I was half expecting her to try the food and realize what she's been doing to the Canterlot restaurant scene all this time. But instead, she's still very stuck in her ways and will probably never make another appearance in the entire series. In some respects, I'm a bit disappointed the writers didn't even try to show any possibility for her to change. But in other respects, the message of this episode is about not putting all your trust in a critic and being able to think for yourself every now and then. Zesty was claiming that Rarity had no right to tell others what food they should try when her career as a fashion designer has nothing to do with food. And in many respects, that is true. I mean, Rarity of all characters should know full well what happens when someone tries to design a dress to what they think works best, despite the fact they have no experience in dressmaking in the first place. But then you have the other extreme, like what's presented here, where most everyone in Canterlot has put so much of their trust into one food critic that suddenly they have no desire to try anything except what the critic says they should try. It's a very interesting perspective for anyone who wants to become a critic, as well as any of their fans who seem to put all their stock into whatever opinion that critic has. It just happens to be in an episode that is fairly predictable most of the way through. We all knew that Rarity and Pinkie would have differing ideas on what would help the restaurant, and we all knew that Zesty would reject whatever they came up with on their first attempt. The only unexpected bit for me happened near the end, when it turned out that most every restaurant in the area had the exact same issue as the tasty treat. So that was a little clever. I kind of wish there were more chuckle-worthy moments thrown in here and there, considering the rest of Season 6 thus far, and especially the last time Rarity and Pinkie had a story together. But overall, I did enjoy what this episode had to offer. The cultural variety was a nice touch both for the character conflict as well as for the audience watching it. I mean, if anything, this episode is teaching us that coming up with the same thing over and over again is going to get boring in the long run, and we should better accept a change to the status quo every now and then. And yeah, I can get behind the idea that putting all your trust in a critic's opinion can have negative consequences. So it was definitely worth the watch. Maybe not the best entry to lead into a lengthy hiatus, but A good reminder that we should be looking for quality over quantity in MLP. What do you think? I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.
And you're thin for someone who likes food.
I don't like food, I love it. If I don't love it, I don't swallow.